Welcome to the DoubleACS Daily News for August 15th, 2016. Former Rhode Island State Representative and rare book dealer Ray Rickman held a talk at the Richards Memorial Library Thursday evening on how to evaluate the value of a book. To find out more, we spoke with Mr. Rickman after the event.
I often lecture on the value of books. People bring 3 books and I tell them what they're worth. And it's lots of fun. And the reason I really do this is because the library pays me and I donate that money to swimming programs. All of this is about demand and scarcity. That's all it's about. Religious books are worth very little. Catholic books are worth very little because before Vatican II, it was a sin to throw away a Catholic catechism or anything like it. And so they're plentiful. But if you have a book that's scarce and 20 people want it, you can start charging, $500. 50 people want it, you can charge $150, and if 1,000 people want it, you can charge $5,000. Also, there are institutions, Ivy League schools and other places that really want these books. So the price of a few books is up through the ceiling. And I have a friend with a signed book from the Dalai Lama, and he wouldn't sell that for anything. And I had a friend who had a book signed by Nelson Mandela, same thing. I can name you 50 people. And then you would think people who aren't in that category, Lucille Ball I mentioned earlier. There are people who grew up with Lucille Ball and loved her, and they're not selling their books. So whoever has a book, at some point they go to heaven or go away. And if that book's signed, wow, get excited. I love getting out and talking to people about their books. Now, I tell people all the time, the vast majority of books are not worth much. They're just not. They cost $20 new, and now they're worth $2. So don't buy a book because you expect to sell it for $1,000. Buy it because you like it. Because a book is 100 years old doesn't mean it's worth anything. Put your hand over the author's name and say to yourself, what's that author's name again? And if you can't remember the author's name, you can barely remember the title, and it's from 1733, so what? I tell people I would never pay more than $25 for a book unless I knew what I was doing. And, I always tell people, if your mother gave you the book or something, I'm not bad-mouthing your mother. It's difficult sometimes. People bring 3 books and you're telling them these are dollar books. They have some trouble. But we had a book signed by Picasso, and it was Gertrude Stein's first book. And, I had to look at it 5 times, and it was fascinating because you knew he signed that in 1919 in Paris. It was a French publisher. You were there. You were there with the book. And there was no question. I photographed the book because I told him what it was, but who says I'm right? And I photographed it. And then I checked that night when I got home, and I was right. And I told them it was a $10,000 book, and then later they sold it for $12,000. So, and I always tell people, if you get real money, give the library a check. Now, I see people giving things to rich institutions. I have nothing against Yale. They're a great, great, great collection because everybody's giving them another copy of Gone with the Wind signed, and they're putting them in storage. They have so many. If I had a very famous Frederick Douglass book, I would give it to community college. They would put it in a glass box and they'd put it on display, and everybody who went in the library would see it.
That's it for today's update. For DoubleACS News, I'm Austin Ricketts.